Hi, this is Cherie Bergeron. I'm here with Mike O'Rourke, Vice President of Strategy and Product Management here at IBM Rational. Hi, Mike. Thanks for
Cherie,
joining me.
absolutely. Good to be here.
So I know that IBM has been on a journey of Agile transformation for quite some time. What led to making that decision?
Well, like a lot of companies, IBM started with in small individual projects, trying Agile and teams just trying to empower themselves. But in 2006, after essentially a major project took on an Agile transformation and transformed itself, IBM's senior leadership decided that they would invest in an Agile transformation for the entire software group, over 30,000 developers, 1,000 releases a year. And they did it really with the notion that competitively they had already found that many of their competitors were investing larger amounts in strategic projects over, if you will, maintenance type projects than IBM was. And they felt that over the course of time that would lead to a competitive loss. So that was the impetus around it. How do we create better time to market? How do we create higher levels of quality? And how do we reduce our overall cost structure? And Agile really was our way to do that.
So tell me a bit about the IBM teams that are adopting Agile.
Well, almost all the teams are adopting some flavor of Agile. When IBM started this really in 2006 and funded an overall training program, we brought in Tom and Mary Poppendick and really did, over the course of a few years, we trained 9,000 people in lean development methodologies. But really, the IBMers are actually allowed to choose the methodology they want. But even certainly from our newest, best products to our older, more mature products, all of them are adopting some flavor. Some are only starting with doing faster iterations, earlier testing, earlier views for the executive team, of what's happening on their projects. Some are doing, test-driven development and what I would maybe call big A Agile. But you're allowed to kind of choose the flavor that's right for you and adopt it at the pace you want.
So I know that you've been a development manager on a lot of different projects. Can you tell me what are the size and the look of IBM teams?
Well, so IBM Software Group is actually over 30,000 developers in 80 different labs around the world. At Rational, we actually are obviously a little bit smaller than that. We're about 2,000, a little over 2,000 developers, 80 products that we release on a regular basis in 15 different major locations around the world. So very large, very distributed, which makes, of course, doing a scrum of all the people on a team, or even a scrum of scrums, very, very difficult.
So that brings up a good point. Since IBM is so large, a lot of people would say, well, Agile can't succeed there. So what makes you believe that Agile can be successful at a company this size?
I'm not going to say that it was easy. I'm not going to say that we're done, right? We're still on our own journey of Agile transformation. But you have to take things one step at a time. Transforming to Agile is really something where you have to transform your people, you have to transform your processes, and you have to transform your tools. When we started this in 2006, we didn't really have a full set of Agile tools. The world didn't have a full set of Agile tools that really started at the beginning of your life cycle with the elicitation and collaboration around requirements all the way through to the testing and deployment of your tools, whatever they may be, to your stakeholders, to your customers, to your website. So it has taken a while for us to get all of those things together. But really, we started in 2006. By 2008, we were already seeing major benefits, things like on-time deliveries. 2006, we were at 47%. 2008, we were in the 90s. 2009, we actually, in my opinion, probably went too far. We delivered at 100%. That's a much better problem to have than a 47%. But in the end, we probably released some products that maybe we shouldn't have. But it's because of the things that we were looking at, the things we were measuring, and the things we were holding people accountable.
So Mike, how do you deal with teams that aren't co-located since collaboration is such a big part of the Agile process?
That's a great question, and one of the harder questions as you try to do agility at scale. We do a number of things. One, we create a map, if you will, a map of the software development cycle as well as the different parts or the different locations that a certain feature, function, or project are being developed. One of the things we look for is how many, if you will, collaboration failure points are there when you're making a handoff from one team to another. You want to minimize those. Now, obviously, in a distributed team, you can't make it zero. But the notion is you shouldn't have, for instance, 12 people on a project in 10 different locations. That's a recipe for disaster. So that's one of the key things to do is really map the organization so you understand how those things work. The second thing we did was is that we invested in actually having people who had been there, done that, performed on Agile teams, and we physically would put those people in the right location. So whether that was India or China or Ottawa or Boston, we were making the decision to invest in having people go there anywhere between 3 to 6 months and actually sit with those teams and help them understand how to do a retrospective, make them understand how delivering something on time all the time, having a constantly running set of software was really the most important thing. Those would probably be the two of the more important things. The last thing I would say is that we started this notion of what is done. So in other words, having a product manager, a developer, a tester, have a conversation about a requirement, and up front, before any code's checked in, before any tests are written, having the conversation about what does it mean to have this piece of the project done, so that there was already agreement up front about what was going to be done and how it was going to be done. That was probably our best way to get the teams working together, whether they were in the same co-located location or in a very distributed